The Lost City of Atlantis. Somewhere beneath the endless, rolling waves of the vast oceans, a great civilization is said to have thrived. A place of unmatched beauty and power, lost to time and memory. The legend of Atlantis is one of the most enduring mysteries of human history, an enigma whispered through the ages. Tonight, as you relax and let your mind drift, we will journey into the depths of this ancient story, a tale of a magnificent city, advanced beyond comprehension, that vanished beneath the sea in a single, fateful night. Let your imagination sail across the oceans as we uncover the legend, the possibilities, and the endless questions surrounding Atlantis. The story of Atlantis begins with the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who first described the lost civilization around 360 BC in his works Timaeus and Critias. He spoke of a powerful kingdom that existed beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. This extraordinary city, Plato claimed, was an advanced utopian society, flourishing with wealth, technology, and culture far beyond what the rest of the world could imagine. Its people were said to possess knowledge and capabilities that seemed almost supernatural. Vast palaces of shimmering marble and gold lined the grand canals that ran through the city. Towering temples dedicated to Poseidon, the god of the sea, stood at the heart of Atlantis, their walls encrusted with precious jewels and metals unknown to the outside world. It was a place where nature and architecture blended seamlessly. Gardens of vibrant flowers, lush forests, and majestic mountains surrounding glittering cities of stone. Atlantis was said to be a marvel of engineering. The city itself was designed in concentric rings, alternating between land and water. Bridges and canals connected each ring, while massive walls protected the inner sanctum where the royal palace and temples stood. Freshwater springs bubbled up from beneath the earth, providing life to the people and the lush greenery that covered the city. Towering columns, crafted from rare metals like orichalcum, a mysterious, radiant metal described by Plato, shimmered in the sunlight, casting brilliant reflections onto the water. The Atlanteans were master builders, artists, and warriors. Their fleet of powerful ships ruled the oceans, and their armies were unmatched in strength. Yet, despite their power and prosperity, Plato warned that Atlantis was not perfect. Over time, the Atlanteans became arrogant and corrupt, their once noble society consumed by greed and a hunger for domination. They waged wars against the surrounding lands, their ambition growing unchecked. The gods, displeased with their hubris, decided to punish Atlantis. As the story goes, in a single catastrophic day and night, violent earthquakes and colossal floods consumed the island. The great city of Atlantis was swallowed by the sea, vanishing beneath the waves, lost forever. But was Atlantis ever real? Or was it simply a cautionary tale woven by Plato to illustrate the dangers of pride and corruption? Historians and archaeologists have debated this for centuries. Some believe Atlantis was inspired by real events, perhaps the eruption of the volcanic island of Thera, modern-day Santorini, around 1600 BC, which caused a massive tsunami that devastated the Minoan civilization. Others argue that Plato's Atlantis may have been based on older, forgotten stories passed down from ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia. The mystery deepens when we explore the numerous locations theorized to be the resting place of Atlantis. Some researchers believe the lost city lies beneath the Mediterranean Sea, near the island of Crete, home to the ancient Minoans. Others suggest it could be submerged off the coast of Spain or hidden beneath the muddy plains of the Atlantic Ocean, near the Azores. More fantastical theories propose that Atlantis was located in Antarctica, buried beneath miles of ice, or even that it was an advanced extraterrestrial civilization that visited Earth long ago, leaving behind traces of their knowledge. Modern technology has only added to the intrigue. Sonar scans and satellite imagery have revealed mysterious structures deep beneath the ocean floor. Massive formations resembling ancient roads, walls, and city grids. Some explorers claim to have found remnants of man-made structures off the coast of Cuba, in the Caribbean, where a series of symmetrical stone formations lie hidden under the sea. Could these be the ruins of Atlantis, waiting to be rediscovered? Or are they natural formations, shaped by the ocean's powerful currents over millennia? One of the most compelling arguments for Atlantis's existence lies not in the physical evidence, but in the persistent nature of the legend itself. Why has the story of Atlantis endured for over 2,000 years? From ancient philosophers to modern-day explorers, the idea of a lost, advanced civilization captivates our imaginations, perhaps because it reflects our own hopes and fears. Atlantis symbolizes human potential, a society that reached unimaginable heights, only to be brought low by its own flaws. It's a warning and a dream, a reminder that greatness can be fleeting, and that knowledge, once lost, may never be recovered. Some believe Atlantis was more than just a place. They suggest it represents a forgotten chapter of human history, a time when civilizations were more advanced than we realize. Alternative historians point to ancient monuments around the world, like the pyramids of Egypt, the megaliths of Stonehenge, and the intricate city of Machu Picchu, suggesting these structures may hold clues to a lost age of knowledge and technology. Could Atlantis have been part of this forgotten epic, a missing link between the past and the present? As you let your mind wander through the depths of this ancient mystery, imagine what Atlantis might have been like. Picture the grand temples glowing under the sun, the sound of waves gently lapping against the city's pristine shores. Imagine the bustling marketplaces, filled with merchants selling exotic goods from distant lands, and the majestic palaces, where kings and queens ruled over a peaceful, thriving world. Then, in an instant, the ground shakes, the sky darkens, towering waves crash over the city as buildings crumble and the earth swallows Atlantis whole. The ocean becomes silent once again, hiding its secrets beneath endless blue. Perhaps, somewhere out there, beneath the waves and the sands of time, Atlantis still sleeps. Its towers, temples, and streets frozen in a watery tomb, waiting for the day when they might rise again. Until then, the legend endures, carried on the currents of human curiosity and imagination. Let that thought guide you into a peaceful, restful slumber. The sea holds many secrets, and perhaps one day, Atlantis will no longer be one of them. The mystery of the pyramids, ancient engineering or lost knowledge. For thousands of years, the pyramids of Egypt have stood as towering monuments to a civilization that once reigned as the most powerful on Earth. Among them, the Great Pyramid of Giza remains one of the most extraordinary and perplexing structures ever built. It rises from the desert sands like a sentinel from another era, a structure so massive, so precisely engineered, that it defies explanation. Tonight, as you drift into a peaceful slumber, we will journey through time to uncover the mystery of the pyramids, exploring how they were built, why they were constructed, and whether they hold secrets that modern science has yet to uncover. The Great Pyramid, built for Pharaoh Khufu around 2580 BC, was the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. Composed of an estimated 2.3 million limestone and granite blocks, each weighing between 2.5 and 80 tons, the pyramid was aligned with astonishing precision to the cardinal points of the compass. Its sides are nearly perfectly oriented to true north, a feat so precise that modern architects would struggle to replicate it without advanced technology. The pyramid's base forms an almost perfect square, with each side measuring over 230 meters. Its original height reached 146 meters, though erosion and the loss of its smooth outer casing stones have reduced it slightly over the centuries. But how did an ancient civilization, without modern machinery or mathematics, achieve such architectural mastery? The conventional theory is that thousands of laborers, not slaves as often believed, worked tirelessly for decades to haul the massive stones into place using ramps, sleds, and sheer human strength. Yet, this explanation leaves more questions than answers. How did they transport the massive granite blocks from Aswan, nearly 500 miles away? How did they lift these stones to heights of over 400 feet without cranes or pulleys? Some scholars propose that a straight or zigzagging ramp system was used, but the amount of material required to build such a ramp would rival the pyramid itself. Others suggest a spiral ramp wrapping around the pyramid as it rose, a clever idea, but one that would have made precise measurements and alignments nearly impossible. Even more astonishing is the precision with which the pyramid's interior chambers were constructed. The king's chamber, lined with red granite, contains massive blocks weighing up to 80 tons, somehow positioned with millimeter accuracy. Above the chamber, a series of relieving blocks and beams were carefully arranged to prevent the weight of the structure from crushing the room below, a feat of engineering brilliance. The Grand Gallery, a long, ascending passageway with corbelled walls that narrow as they rise, looks more like something designed with modern laser measurements than ancient tools. The precision of these corridors and the almost airtight fit of the stones are beyond what should have been possible for an ancient civilization using copper tools and ropes. Then there's the mystery of the pyramid's alignment. Not only is it almost perfectly oriented to true north, but it also aligns with key astronomical features. The shafts within the Great Pyramid point toward specific stars, most notably Orion's belt, which the ancient Egyptians associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. Some researchers believe the entire Giza complex mirrors the Orion constellation, reinforcing the idea that the pyramids were part of a grander celestial plan. Was this an accident of primitive architecture, or did the Egyptians possess a deeper understanding of the cosmos than we realize? Theories about the purpose of the pyramids are equally fascinating. The most widely accepted explanation is that they served as grand tombs for the pharaohs, designed to guide their souls to the afterlife. But no body has ever been found within the Great Pyramid, only an empty granite sarcophagus. Could the pyramid have served a different, more enigmatic function? Some researchers propose that the Great Pyramid wasn't just a tomb, but a power plant of sorts, an ancient energy device. This idea, while unconventional, stems from the pyramid's unusual design and the materials used within. The granite in the king's chamber contains high levels of quartz, a mineral that can generate electricity when subjected to pressure, a phenomenon known as the piezoelectric effect. The pyramid's limestone casing, now largely eroded, would have acted as an insulating layer, while the dolomite lining the inner chambers is known for its conductive properties. Could the ancient Egyptians have harnessed some form of natural energy from the earth itself? Adding to the intrigue is the pyramid's relationship to the Earth's geography. The Great Pyramid sits precisely on the geographic center of the planet's landmass, with its meridian dividing the Earth's land into nearly equal halves. Its location also corresponds to the speed of light, 299,792,458 meters per second. An eerie coincidence, given that the speed of light would not be measured for thousands of years after the pyramid's construction. Beyond the Great Pyramid, other pyramids scattered across Egypt and even the world share similar mathematical ratios and alignments. The pyramids of Teotihuacan in Mexico, built by the Aztecs, bear a striking resemblance to those at Giza, despite being separated by oceans and millennia. Some theorists suggest this points to a lost global civilization, one that shared knowledge of advanced architecture, mathematics, and astronomy long before recorded history. Could the Egyptians have inherited their pyramid-building knowledge from an even older civilization? Some believe the answer lies beneath the Sphinx, a colossal limestone statue guarding the Giza Plateau. The Sphinx, weathered by millennia of sand and wind, shows signs of erosion that some geologists argue could only have been caused by prolonged rainfall, suggesting the statue may be far older than traditionally believed, possibly predating ancient Egypt by thousands of years. Legends speak of hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx, a hall of records containing the wisdom of a lost civilization, perhaps even survivors of Atlantis. The pyramids continue to inspire awe and speculation. Archaeologists uncover new chambers and passageways every year, but the heart of the mystery remains intact. Were the pyramids simply tombs, or did they serve a higher purpose? Did the ancient Egyptians possess knowledge now lost to time, or were they aided by an unknown force, perhaps even visitors from beyond our world? As you let your mind drift into restful sleep, imagine the desert sands parting to reveal the pyramids in their original glory. Their smooth, polished casing stones gleaming in the sunlight, their golden capstones reflecting light across the Nile. Picture the ancient workers, guided by architects whose knowledge seems to transcend the limitations of their era. Imagine the secrets buried deep within the stone corridors, untouched for millennia, waiting to be rediscovered. The pyramids are more than monuments. They are silent guardians of an ancient mystery, a riddle etched in stone, whispering to us across the ages. Perhaps one day their secrets will be revealed. Until then, they stand, timeless and eternal, watching over the desert and the dreams of those who dare to seek the truth. Stonehenge, a giant celestial calendar or sacred site. Stonehenge stands as one of the most enduring and enigmatic monuments in human history. Rising from the windswept plains of Salisbury, England, this ancient circle of colossal stones has puzzled archaeologists, historians, and curious minds for centuries. Built over 5,000 years ago, Stonehenge has withstood the ravages of time, yet its true purpose remains cloaked in mystery. Was it a celestial calendar, an astronomical observatory, a sacred burial site, or perhaps a place of spiritual pilgrimage for an ancient civilization whose understanding of the universe far exceeded what we imagined possible for the time? As the sun rises over the horizon on the summer solstice, its light aligns perfectly with the central stones, suggesting that Stonehenge was more than just a gathering place. It may have been a carefully designed structure to track the heavens. The alignment with both the solstices and lunar cycles implies a profound understanding of astronomy, leading some to believe that Stonehenge was an ancient calendar, marking not only the changing seasons but also the passage of time itself. Could it have been a way for early farmers to predict when to plant and harvest their crops? Or was it a more profound symbol, aligning human life with the cosmos, a bridge between the earthly and the divine? The origins of the stones themselves add another layer of mystery. The massive sarsen stones, some weighing over 25 tons, were likely transported from Marlborough Downs, nearly 20 miles away, an incredible feat of engineering for a society without modern machinery. Even more baffling are the smaller bluestones, which came from the Preseli Hills in Wales, roughly 150 miles away. How did an ancient people, with only rudimentary tools, manage to transport these monolithic stones across such vast distances? Some suggest wooden sledges and rolling logs, while others propose that waterways were used to float the stones part of the way. But the precision with which these stones were arranged, balancing perfectly, interlocked with mortise and tenon joints, suggests an architectural understanding far beyond what is typically attributed to Neolithic humans. Legends swirl around Stonehenge, blending history with mythology. One tale speaks of the wizard Merlin, who supposedly used magic to transport the stones from Ireland, placing them on Salisbury Plain as a monument to fallen warriors. Another version claims the giants built Stonehenge, wielding strength beyond human capacity. While these stories are dismissed as folklore, They hint at how incomprehensible the monument's construction seemed even to early historians. But what if these myths contain a grain of truth? Some modern theorists speculate that Stonehenge was built with knowledge passed down from an even older, lost civilization. Perhaps survivors of Atlantis or another advanced society that vanished long before recorded history began. Could they have imparted their understanding of astronomy, architecture, and sacred geometry to the builders of Stonehenge, ensuring their legacy lived on in stone? The discovery of human remains around the site has added to the speculation. Archaeological excavations have uncovered cremated bones, suggesting that Stonehenge may have been a burial ground, a place where ancient peoples honored their dead and perhaps sought to connect with their ancestors. The layout of the stones resembles a giant amphitheater, leading some to believe it served as a ceremonial site, a place for druidic rituals, offerings to deities, or even a center of healing. The blue stones, in particular, were believed to possess special properties, possibly linked to healing powers. Was Stonehenge a prehistoric hospital, where the sick and injured traveled great distances in hope of a cure? Beyond its physical structure, Stonehenge radiates an air of cosmic significance. The sun's path through the stones, the moon's cycles, and even the stars seem to align with its layout. This has led many to believe it functioned as an astronomical observatory, helping ancient priests or shamans track celestial events, eclipses, equinoxes, and planetary movements. Some theorists suggest it could have been a calendar not just for seasons, but for tracking longer cosmic cycles, perhaps even predicting cosmic events or catastrophes. Was Stonehenge a beacon for a forgotten understanding of the universe, one lost to time? More intriguingly, some modern scientists and engineers propose that Stonehenge might have served as an acoustic temple. The way the stones are positioned could create resonances and echoes, amplifying sounds in a way that would feel almost supernatural to the people standing within its circle. Did ancient people gather there to chant, sing, and experience sound on a spiritual level? Could the vibrations have induced trance-like states, helping shamans or priests communicate with other realms? Then, there are those who believe Stonehenge's purpose goes beyond what mainstream archaeology is willing to consider. Some suggest it was a landing site for ancient extraterrestrials, a beacon, a map, or even a kind of energy transmitter. The precision of the alignments, the sourcing of stones from faraway lands, and the sheer effort required to build it, all seem to suggest a purpose far more profound than a simple gathering place. Was Stonehenge a gift from beings who possessed knowledge of the stars, physics, and energy that we have yet to rediscover? Despite centuries of research, Stonehenge continues to hold its secrets close. It stands as a testament to human ingenuity, perseverance, and perhaps even a forgotten wisdom. Each stone, weathered by time and wind, holds a silent story, one that whispers to those who stand among them, gazing at the sky. As you drift into sleep, imagine the builders of Stonehenge, toiling under the vast expanse of the ancient sky. Picture the fires burning as they raised each massive stone, chanting to the stars, believing they were creating something eternal, a place where earth meets sky and the human soul touches the cosmos. The winds of Salisbury still carry their echoes, faint but enduring, reminding us that some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved, forever inviting us to dream. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, real or myth? The Hanging Gardens of Babylon stand as one of the most captivating wonders of the ancient world. A lush, terraced paradise said to have been built in the heart of the arid Mesopotamian desert. Described by ancient historians as an architectural and engineering marvel, the gardens supposedly cascaded with vibrant greenery, exotic flowers, and flowing waterfalls. Towering above the city, they were a testament to human ingenuity and the ability to create life where none should flourish. Yet, despite centuries of fascination, no definitive archaeological evidence of the gardens has ever been found. Were they a true masterpiece lost to time, or nothing more than a beautiful myth passed down through generations? The story of the Hanging Gardens traces back to several ancient sources, the most notable being the writings of the Greek historians Strabo and Philo of Byzantium, along with the Babylonian priest Berossus. According to legend, the gardens were built by King Nebuchadnezzar II around 600 BCE as a gift to his queen, Amytis of Media. She longed for the lush, mountainous landscapes of her homeland, and the king, driven by love and a desire to ease her homesickness, commissioned an extraordinary garden that would recreate her native scenery within the flat, dry plains of Babylon. It was said to be a tiered marvel, an artificial mountain of stone terraces layered with fertile soil, where trees, flowers, and vines cascaded down like a green waterfall. Ingenious irrigation systems allegedly drew water from the nearby Euphrates River to keep the garden alive, a feat of engineering far ahead of its time. Descriptions of the gardens paint an enchanting image. Towering palm trees swayed in the breeze, vibrant flowers bloomed in every hue imaginable, and the scent of jasmine and roses filled the air. Cool, glistening streams flowed down the terraces, creating an oasis that seemed to defy nature itself. The gardens were believed to rise in tiers, supported by massive stone columns and arches, forming a series of elevated platforms. From a distance, they appeared to hang in midair, a mesmerizing illusion created by the cascading greenery. Visitors described it as a slice of paradise on earth, an awe-inspiring sight that rivaled the grandeur of any palace or temple. But despite these vivid accounts, no physical remains of the Hanging Gardens have ever been uncovered in Babylon. Archaeological excavations have revealed magnificent structures, including the ruins of Nebuchadnezzar's Grand Palace and the mighty Ishtar Gate. Yet the gardens remain elusive. This absence of evidence has fueled endless speculation. Did the gardens truly exist, or were they an elaborate legend, romanticized by ancient writers? One compelling theory suggests that the Hanging Gardens weren't in Babylon at all, but rather in Nineveh, the capital of the Assyrian Empire, ruled by King Sennacherib. Some historians argue that ancient accounts mistakenly attributed Sennacherib's stunning gardens to Babylon. His palace boasted a sophisticated irrigation system, complete with aqueducts and canals that carried water from distant mountains, technology that could have supported an extraordinary garden. The confusion may have arisen from the ancient world's tendency to blend stories, misplace events, or attribute great feats to the most famous cities of the era. Another theory proposes that the gardens never physically existed, but instead represented a symbolic or metaphorical paradise, an allegory of abundance and divine favor. Babylon itself was an empire of immense wealth and power, renowned for its towering ziggurats and sprawling temples. The idea of a king creating an earthly Eden may have been a way to emphasize Nebuchadnezzar's grandeur and the city's unparalleled splendor. Yet, the sophistication required to build such a marvel wasn't beyond the Babylonians' reach. They were master engineers and architects, responsible for creating one of the most advanced cities of their time. The Euphrates River, which flowed through Babylon, could have provided the water necessary to sustain a vast, elevated garden. Ancient Mesopotamians were known for their advanced knowledge of hydraulics, employing techniques like canets, underground channels, to transport water across long distances. Some researchers speculate that the gardens might have utilized an Archimedes screw, a spiral pump capable of lifting water to higher elevations. Centuries before its invention was traditionally credited to the Greeks. If the gardens did exist, why did they vanish without a trace? One explanation could lie in the region's volatile history. Babylon suffered numerous invasions, including its eventual destruction by the Persian king Cyrus the Great in 539 BCE. Over centuries, the city was abandoned, buried beneath sand and silt. The gardens, if they were indeed built, may have been dismantled or eroded beyond recognition. Earthquakes, floods, and the relentless march of time may have reduced the lush terraces to dust. The mystery of the Hanging Gardens endures not only because of their legendary beauty, but because they represent something deeper: humanity's timeless desire to conquer nature, to create life where none should thrive. Whether fact or fiction, they embody the dream of transforming barren land into a flourishing paradise, a testament to the ingenuity and determination of ancient civilizations. The idea that such a marvel could rise from the desert, against all odds, speaks to our enduring belief that with enough vision and will, the impossible can be made real. Imagine, as you drift into sleep, walking among the terraces of the Hanging Gardens. The air is cool and sweet with the scent of flowers. Vines curl lazily around marble columns, and sunlight filters through a canopy of leaves. Waterfalls murmur in the distance, their sound soothing and eternal. The Queen's longing has been transformed into an emerald sanctuary, a living monument to love and ingenuity. Whether the gardens existed in reality or only in legend, they continue to grow in our imaginations, a reminder that some dreams, even when lost to history, never truly fade. The lost civilization of the Indus Valley, where did they go? The Indus Valley Civilization, one of the most advanced and enigmatic ancient civilizations, flourished over 4,000 years ago in what is now modern-day Pakistan, northwest India, and parts of Afghanistan. It was a society that built sprawling, meticulously planned cities, developed a sophisticated writing system, and mastered advanced engineering techniques. Yet, despite its grandeur, the civilization mysteriously vanished. Unlike the fall of other great civilizations, there's no record of a catastrophic war, no evidence of a sudden invasion, and no clear sign of what led to their decline. The question remains, where did the people of the Indus Valley go, and what brought their once thriving culture to an end? The Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization after one of its major cities, emerged around 3300 BCE and reached its peak between 2600 and 1900 BCE. It boasted impressive cities like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and Dhalavira, each built with astonishing precision. Streets were laid out in a grid pattern, lined with brick houses equipped with advanced drainage systems and indoor plumbing, innovations far ahead of their time. Public baths, granaries, and massive assembly halls suggested a highly organized society, capable of urban planning on a scale rivaling that of ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt. The Harappans were skilled traders, connecting with distant regions such as Mesopotamia, Oman, and the Persian Gulf. They exported goods like cotton textiles, beads, and pottery, while importing precious materials such as lapis lazuli, copper, and turquoise. Their economy flourished, supported by a complex agricultural system that harnessed the fertile floodplains of the Indus River. They cultivated wheat, barley, and cotton, making them one of the earliest civilizations to spin cotton into cloth, and raised cattle, sheep, and goats. The presence of uniform weights and measures hints at a regulated trade system, suggesting a centralized authority that maintained order and prosperity. Yet, perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the Indus Valley Civilization is its undeciphered script. Thousands of seals and inscriptions have been discovered, etched with a series of symbols that archaeologists believe represent a form of writing. However, despite decades of study, no one has successfully cracked the code. Without a Rosetta Stone equivalent to provide a translation, the language of the Harappans remains locked away, leaving vital questions about their beliefs, governance, and daily life unanswered. The sudden decline of this great civilization around 1900 BCE remains a source of endless speculation. One prominent theory points to environmental collapse. The Indus River, which sustained their agriculture and economy, may have shifted course due to tectonic activity, leaving once fertile lands barren and forcing people to migrate. Evidence of climate change, including a prolonged drought that weakened the monsoon rains, supports this idea. As water sources dwindled, crops failed, and food became scarce, the civilization's population may have scattered in search of more hospitable lands. Another theory suggests a gradual internal breakdown. The Harappan society, while sophisticated, shows little evidence of powerful rulers or a centralized military force. Without a strong leadership structure, the civilization may have struggled to maintain unity in the face of environmental pressures or internal conflicts. The abandonment of major cities could have been the result of a slow decline rather than a dramatic collapse, a civilization that faded rather than fell. Some historians propose that the arrival of the Aryans, an Indo-European people, played a role in the Indus Valley's decline. The Rig Veda, an ancient Sanskrit text, describes a migration of people into the Indian subcontinent around this time. While early interpretations painted this as an invasion, modern scholars lean toward the idea of a more gradual migration and cultural assimilation. There's little evidence of large-scale warfare or mass destruction in the archaeological record, suggesting that if the Aryans did arrive, they may have coexisted with the remaining Harappans or settled in territories already abandoned. Still, other researchers entertain more unconventional ideas. Could a devastating pandemic have swept through the densely populated cities, leaving them deserted? Or perhaps a massive flood, like the biblical stories of old, wiped out key urban centers? Some even speculate about the influence of unknown external forces, natural disasters, cosmic events, or something more mysterious, though these ideas remain in the realm of speculation. What's particularly strange is that the Harappans left no monuments to glorify kings or gods. Unlike their Egyptian and Mesopotamian counterparts, their cities were remarkably egalitarian, with homes of similar sizes and public infrastructure that benefited everyone. This suggests a society that prioritized community welfare over individual power, making the sudden disappearance of such a balanced and organized civilization even more baffling. Despite the mystery, echoes of the Indus Valley Civilization live on. Archaeologists believe that many Harappans may not have truly disappeared. Instead, they likely migrated eastward, blending into emerging cultures in the Gangetic Plain. Their influence can be seen in later Vedic culture and even in modern Indian traditions. The continuity of practices like town planning, drainage systems, and certain artistic styles hints that the Harappan legacy quietly endured, evolving into new forms over centuries. As you drift into sleep, imagine the bustling streets of Mohenjo-Daro, the sound of traders calling out their wares, children running through alleyways, and the scent of baked bread filling the air. Picture the great public bath, its waters shimmering under the sun, and the marketplaces alive with color and noise. Somewhere, beyond the sands and ruins, the truth of their disappearance remains hidden, waiting to be rediscovered. Perhaps one day, an archaeologist's trowel will unearth a clue that rewrites history. Until then, the mystery of the Indus Valley Civilization endures, a silent reminder that even the most advanced and thriving societies can vanish, leaving behind only whispers in the wind. The mysterious disappearance of the Anasazi people. The Anasazi people, known today as the ancestral Puebloans, were an advanced civilization that thrived in the southwestern United States, primarily in the region now known as the Four Corners, where Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico meet. Their culture flourished between 100 AD and 1300 AD, leaving behind impressive cliff dwellings, intricate pottery, and an enigmatic legacy. But despite their architectural marvels and sophisticated society, the Anasazi seem to vanish without a clear explanation. Their disappearance has puzzled historians, archaeologists, and researchers for over a century, leaving behind a haunting mystery embedded in the ancient stone walls of Mesa Verde, Chaco Canyon, and other remarkable sites. The Anasazi were master builders, crafting complex stone structures in seemingly inhospitable desert landscapes. They built multi-story great houses from sandstone blocks, connected by an elaborate network of roads stretching across hundreds of miles. Their most famous settlements, like Cliff Palace in Mesa Verde and Pueblo Bonito in Chaco Canyon, featured hundreds of rooms, ceremonial kivas, underground circular chambers, and storage areas for food and supplies. The scale and precision of their construction suggest a highly organized society with skilled laborers, engineers, and spiritual leaders. Beyond their impressive architecture, the Anasazi demonstrated advanced agricultural practices. They cultivated maize, beans, and squash, the three sisters crops essential to many Native American diets. Despite the arid environment, they built sophisticated irrigation systems, including check dams and canals, to channel rainwater to their fields. The Anasazi also wove intricate baskets, crafted beautiful pottery, and developed extensive trade networks, exchanging turquoise, shells, and exotic parrots from as far away as Mesoamerica. But for all their achievements, the Anasazi left behind no written records. Their history is told through their ruins, artifacts, and the oral traditions of their descendants, including the Hopi, Zuni, and Pueblo peoples. The mystery of their disappearance is amplified by the suddenness of their departure. By the late 1200s, once thriving communities were abandoned, and the people seemed to vanish. What could cause an entire civilization to collapse so abruptly? Several theories attempt to explain the Anasazi's disappearance, each presenting a different piece of the puzzle. One leading explanation is climate change. Tree ring data from the region indicates a severe drought struck the area around 1275 AD, lasting nearly 2 decades. Without sufficient rainfall, crops withered, water sources dried up, and food became scarce. The Anasazi, reliant on their agriculture, may have been forced to leave their ancestral lands in search of more hospitable environments. However, drought alone doesn't fully explain the Anasazi's disappearance. Other environmental factors likely compounded the crisis. Overpopulation may have strained local resources, leading to deforestation and soil degradation. Hunting pressure could have depleted game animals, while constant farming exhausted the land. As food shortages worsened, internal conflicts may have erupted within communities, fracturing their social structure. Evidence of violence and warfare emerges from archaeological sites. Some Anasazi dwellings show signs of hurried fortification, while others contain human remains suggesting brutal massacres. Skeletons with signs of trauma, crushed skulls, broken bones, and even indications of cannibalism have been uncovered at various locations. This shocking discovery points to the possibility of social breakdown and intergroup conflict, either among Anasazi communities or from outside invaders. Cannibalism, though controversial, has been substantiated by forensic studies. Bones found at sites like Cowboy Wash in Colorado show distinctive cut marks and signs of cooking, indicating the flesh was intentionally removed. Some researchers propose this practice may have been driven by starvation during the drought, while others speculate it had a ritualistic or psychological component, perhaps tied to spiritual beliefs or warfare. The Anasazi were deeply spiritual people, as evidenced by their kivas and rock art depicting deities, animals, and cosmic symbols. Their belief system revolved around harmony with nature and reverence for the land. Some scholars suggest their sudden departure might have been influenced by religious or cultural shifts. Perhaps they believed the land had become cursed or that they were being punished by their gods. This idea aligns with Hopi oral traditions, which speak of migrations guided by spiritual leaders and prophecies. Another theory suggests that external forces may have played a role in the Anasazi's disappearance. Nomadic tribes, like the Athabascan-speaking ancestors of the Navajo and Apache, began moving into the region around this time. While there's no definitive proof of large-scale warfare between the Anasazi and these groups, the arrival of new peoples could have disrupted trade routes, strained resources, or introduced diseases. It's also possible that the Anasazi didn't vanish but rather assimilated into other cultures. The Hopi, Zuni, and Rio Grande Pueblo tribes trace their ancestry to the Anasazi, and their oral histories describe long journeys and resettlements. Archaeological evidence supports this idea. Similarities in architecture, pottery styles, and agricultural practices suggest a cultural continuity between the Anasazi and modern Pueblo peoples. The Anasazi's cliff dwellings, perched high in canyon walls, may provide further clues. These settlements, built in the final decades before their disappearance, seem strategically placed for defense. The narrow, steep paths leading to the dwellings would have been easy to defend against attackers. This shift from open villages to high, isolated shelters implies a growing sense of danger and insecurity. Even with all these theories, the truth behind the Anasazi's disappearance remains elusive. Perhaps it wasn't one single factor, but a combination, a perfect storm of drought, resource depletion, social unrest, and cultural transformation. Their departure wasn't necessarily a collapse, but a migration, driven by the need to survive and guided by spiritual beliefs. What makes the mystery even more haunting is the eerie silence that fills their abandoned dwellings today. Walking through the ruins of Mesa Verde or Chaco Canyon, one can almost feel the echoes of the past. The whispers of children playing, the rhythmic thud of stone tools shaping sandstone, the crackle of fires warming families in the desert night. These places, once vibrant with life, now stand as stone skeletons of a lost civilization. The Anasazi's disappearance serves as a reminder of the fragility of even the most advanced societies. Their fate warns of the consequences of environmental mismanagement, social division, and the unpredictable forces of nature. Yet, their legacy endures through the Pueblo peoples, who honor their ancestors' memory and continue to live in harmony with the land. The mystery of the Anasazi remains unsolved, an enigma carved into the cliffs and canyons they once called home. Did they flee famine and drought, fall to conflict, or embark on a spiritual journey toward a new promised land? Perhaps they found refuge somewhere beyond the desert horizon, their descendants carrying their story forward in ways we have yet to fully understand. The tomb of Alexander the Great lost forever? Alexander the Great, the legendary Macedonian king, left an indelible mark on history through his unprecedented conquests that stretched from Greece to Egypt, Persia, and into the vast territories of India. By the time of his untimely death in 323 BCE at the age of 32, he had forged one of the largest empires the world had ever seen. Yet, despite his immense historical significance, one of the greatest mysteries surrounding him endures to this day: the location of his final resting place. The tomb of Alexander the Great, once a site of pilgrimage and reverence, has vanished from the annals of time, leaving behind an enduring puzzle that continues to captivate historians, archaeologists, and treasure hunters alike. After Alexander's death in Babylon, his generals, the Diadochi, were left to divide his empire. His body became a symbol of legitimacy and power, and control over it was highly contested. According to ancient accounts, his body was initially intended to be buried in the Macedonian capital of Igi, alongside his father, King Philip II. However, Ptolemy I, one of Alexander's most trusted generals, intercepted the funeral procession and diverted the body to Egypt, a land Alexander himself had cherished and liberated from Persian rule. Ptolemy brought Alexander's body to Memphis, the ancient capital of Egypt, establishing his own dynasty, the Ptolemaic kingdom, with the possession of the conqueror's remains bolstering his political authority. Later, Ptolemy's son, Ptolemy II Philadelphus, moved Alexander's body to Alexandria, the city the great king had founded and envisioned as a beacon of Hellenistic culture. There, a grand mausoleum, known as the Soma or Sema, was constructed to house his remains. The tomb reportedly became a marvel of the ancient world, attracting visitors from far and wide, including prominent Roman figures such as Julius Caesar, Augustus, and Caligula. Ancient texts describe Alexander's body preserved in honey or a similar substance, lying in a golden sarcophagus. Augustus, upon visiting the tomb, is said to have placed a crown of gold upon Alexander's head and scattered flowers over his remains, signifying the Roman emperor's reverence for the legendary king. However, as centuries passed, the tomb's location faded from memory. Political turmoil, natural disasters, and the rise of new religions may have contributed to its disappearance. Some historians suggest that during the 3rd century CE, the city of Alexandria suffered from severe earthquakes and tsunamis that reshaped its geography. Others propose that the tomb may have been deliberately concealed or destroyed during the Christian and Islamic periods when pagan relics were often targeted. By the Middle Ages, knowledge of the tomb's exact location had vanished, leaving only fragmented records and tantalizing clues. Theories about the tomb's final resting place abound. One possibility is that it remains buried somewhere beneath modern Alexandria, which now lies atop centuries of layered ruins. The city's constant urban development, combined with a high water table, has made large-scale excavations challenging. In the 19th and 20th centuries, explorers and archaeologists proposed several locations, including the area near the ancient royal quarter known as Bruchaon, where Ptolemaic palaces once stood. French archaeologist Jean-Yves Empereur and Greek historian Calliope Limnios Papacosta have led extensive digs in Alexandria, uncovering fascinating artifacts and structures, but the tomb itself remains elusive. Another compelling theory places the tomb in Siwa Oasis, a remote desert location in western Egypt. Siwa held deep spiritual significance for Alexander, as it was home to the oracle of Ammonius, who proclaimed him a divine son of Zeus Ammonius. Some believe he wished to be buried there to cement his connection to the gods. Explorers like Liana Savaltzi claim to have found the tomb at Siwa in the 1990s, but her findings remain controversial and widely disputed among scholars. Other researchers suggest the tomb might not be in Egypt at all. Some accounts hint that Alexander's body was secretly transported back to his homeland of Macedonia, possibly buried in Vergina or Amphipolis. The grand tomb discovered at Amphipolis in 2014, initially thought to be connected to Alexander, ultimately turned out to belong to one of his generals or close associates. Nevertheless, the discovery reignited global interest in the search for the king's final resting place. The mystery deepens with ancient texts suggesting that Alexander's sarcophagus was stolen. The golden coffin that once held his body may have been melted down for its precious metal, possibly during the chaotic decline of the Roman Empire. Some historians believe that his remains were moved to a safer location, perhaps reburied in an unmarked grave to protect them from desecration. This theory echoes the fate of other legendary figures, like Genghis Khan, whose burial site remains undiscovered due to deliberate efforts to conceal it. The continued allure of Alexander's lost tomb isn't merely about finding his remains. It's about what such a discovery could reveal. The tomb may hold artifacts, inscriptions, or even personal belongings that could illuminate his life, beliefs, and the extent of his empire. It could redefine our understanding of the Hellenistic world and the fusion of Greek and Eastern cultures that Alexander championed. Moreover, it could settle centuries-old debates about the cause of his death, which some speculate involved poisoning, malaria, or a rare autoimmune disorder. Modern technology has revitalized the search. Ground-penetrating radar, satellite imagery, and advanced archaeological methods offer new hope of uncovering the tomb. Yet, the heart of the mystery remains. Was the tomb destroyed, deliberately hidden, or is it still waiting to be found beneath the bustling streets of Alexandria or the sands of Siwa? The lost tomb of Alexander the Great embodies the paradox of his legacy. A man who conquered the known world, shaping history for millennia, yet whose final resting place has been swallowed by time. His enduring legend fuels the quest, inspiring adventurers, scholars, and dreamers to pursue the truth. Perhaps the greatest tribute to Alexander is that, even in death, he remains an enigma, a king who reshaped the world and whose spirit still defies the limits of human understanding. The tomb may be lost, but the legend endures, immortal as the man himself. The Nazca Lines, giant desert drawings for the gods? In the vast, arid plains of southern Peru, an extraordinary mystery stretches across the desert floor, the Nazca Lines. Spanning over 500 square kilometers, these enormous geoglyphs, etched into the Earth's surface, depict a mesmerizing array of shapes. Animals, plants, geometric patterns, and long, precise lines that run for miles. Created by the ancient Nazca civilization between 500 BCE and 500 CE, the lines have withstood the test of time, preserved by the region's dry climate and steady winds. Yet despite decades of research and exploration, the true purpose and meaning behind these colossal drawings remain an enigma. Were they astronomical calendars, ritualistic pathways, or messages meant for the gods? The Nazca people, a pre-Inca civilization known for their advanced irrigation systems and intricate pottery, carved the lines by removing the reddish-brown iron oxide-coated pebbles that cover the desert surface, revealing the lighter-colored earth beneath. This contrast created the striking designs visible today. The scale of the lines is astounding. Some stretch over 30 miles, while the individual figures or biomorphs range from 50 to 1,200 feet in length. Among the most famous figures are a spider, a monkey with an elaborate spiral tail, a hummingbird with outstretched wings, and a massive condor. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Nazca Lines is that they can only be fully appreciated from the sky. This raises the question, why would a civilization without flight technology create such enormous, aerial visible art? Some researchers suggest the lines were meant to be seen by deities watching from above. In this interpretation, the geoglyphs served as offerings or messages to the gods, particularly those associated with rain and fertility, a vital concern for a desert-dwelling society reliant on agriculture. The Nazca people believed in powerful nature deities, and the lines may have been a way to communicate with or honor these divine forces. Archaeologist Maria Reich, who dedicated her life to studying the lines, proposed that they functioned as an astronomical calendar, aligning with the positions of celestial bodies. The hummingbird, she suggested, pointed toward the summer solstice, while other figures marked key astronomical events, helping the Nazca track planting and harvest seasons. This theory gains weight when considering the Nazca's advanced understanding of hydraulic engineering. Their survival depended on mastering the harsh environment, so they likely monitored the skies for agricultural guidance. Another theory, supported by anthropologist Johann Reinhard, posits that the lines were part of sacred rituals connected to water, a scarce and precious resource in the region. Many of the geoglyphs are located near ancient aquifers and puquios, underground water channels built by the Nazca. The lines may have served as pilgrimage routes, walked during ceremonies to invoke the gods' favor for rain and fertility. The shapes of animals could symbolize different elements of nature, with the monkey linked to the Amazon rainforest, the hummingbird representing the arrival of rain, and the spider possibly associated with water and fertility due to its connection to the coastal regions. Some researchers even suggest the lines had practical uses, such as giant pathways or markers guiding travelers and traders across the desert. The straight lines, in particular, resemble ancient road systems, potentially functioning as routes connecting religious or ceremonial sites. Others propose that the lines mapped underground water sources, crucial for a society living in one of the driest places on Earth. Beyond these scholarly interpretations, more unconventional theories have emerged, capturing the public imagination. One of the most famous comes from Swiss author Erich von Däniken, who speculated that the Nazca Lines were created as runways for alien spacecraft. His theory, outlined in the book Chariots of the Gods, suggests that extraterrestrials visited ancient civilizations and provided them with advanced knowledge. While widely dismissed by archaeologists and historians due to a lack of credible evidence, the idea persists in popular culture, adding to the Nazca Lines' aura of mystery. What remains undeniable is the Nazca people's extraordinary skill and vision. Creating such massive, precise designs without modern tools or aerial perspectives would require meticulous planning and coordination. Wooden stakes found at the end of some lines suggest the Nazca used basic surveying techniques, marking points and connecting them with ropes. The sheer scale of their achievement, combined with the line's longevity, speaks to the Nazca's deep cultural and spiritual dedication. Recent studies, aided by satellite imagery, drones, and AI analysis, have revealed even more geoglyphs, some hidden beneath the desert surface for centuries. These newly discovered figures, including a massive cat and various humanoid shapes, hint that the Nazca's symbolic landscape was even more complex than previously imagined. Despite technological advancements and ongoing research, the Nazca Lines continue to guard their secrets. Each new discovery raises more questions than answers. Were they meant to be walked, viewed from sacred hills, or seen by gods from the heavens? Did they guide rituals, mark celestial events, or map life-giving water sources? Perhaps the lines served multiple purposes, evolving in meaning over centuries as the Nazca civilization grew and adapted. The Nazca Lines remain a testament to human ingenuity and the profound connection between ancient peoples and their environment. Whether they were sacred messages, celestial maps, or symbols of hope for rain and prosperity, they endure as an awe-inspiring reminder of a civilization that, though long gone, left its mark upon the earth and perhaps the sky. The desert holds its secrets close, but the Nazca Lines can